have something like that if they manage to get Mene on Junkrat again.
I know that Mene is very comfortable on Junkrat. Currently, Fnatic has 3 players that can play Junkrat depending on what composition they run to varying degrees of success. But Mene he really loves playing the hero. He really enjoys it quite a lot. So on the last map, I don't really think that it was something that they were necessarily forced into. I feel they felt very comfortable with that choice. The one thing that he couldn't do as much as he usually wanted to is create opportunities. They had 2 positions where he got successful knockbacks off where they nearly got a kill out of it. Both of the times against Snitch, and then of course in the fight that turned against them where they started to lose the control over the game. And afterwards it becomes very difficult, I feel, to really get that value out of Junkrat outside of the wave clear.
Yeah,
so
because Dignitas wasn't giving them any fights.
If you can push and you're the aggressor with the hero, I think you usually have a much more of an impact than if you all have to play passive. But it's definitely still a concern for the team. There are some major shifts when we're looking at hero pools, especially, of course, with Bad Benny, which we highlighted during the game. So that's something to definitely consider. And I feel that for both Fnatic and Dignitas, this is something where both of them will improve over time even more than where they already are. In terms of the bans here, pretty much what you would expect. We saw in the last map actually Tracer being banned out by Fnatic over Tacita. This time they banned Tacita again, but the one constant in the ban pattern that we have, especially against Fnatic, but also from a meta perspective, is that ETC is taking a very, very high priority. And Dignitas is doing something that they have done over the past few days. They're going, first of all, for a lot of aggression again with Genji. They like to play these dive-heavy compositions, and they also prioritize the Haka fairly high up, especially since it's Dragonshire. Definitely a hero that most of the teams put all the way up to the top when they are playing here.
Yeah, and then you get Genji. I think Snitch plays a fantastic Genji, and it's a hero that punishes solo top laners, even the ones that are supposedly able to counter the Haka, for instance, Junkrat. And so that's definitely going to be part of Dignitas' play style. If the Haka is top lane, countered by Junk, to have Genji come in there and take him out.
And from a traditional perspective, you would expect at this point Greymane, for example, to be taken. That would be a great choice with Rhaegar already. Oftentimes we see the addition of a tank right away after that. There are a lot of Anub'arak combos that we have seen, but we have, in this case, Arthas Li Ming. So I was just about to say that option would have been going into Greymane, trying for an Anub'arak strategy again. We've seen that from Dignitas on this map against Roll20, for example. And if you get that one-shot potential with your setup, that can really make or break the game. What Fnatic is now currently doing, they are first of all getting Arthas again, who's getting a higher priority throughout the tournament. And that's something that was echoed in the earlier series already, where we had Ballistics playing against SPT, and Li Ming, definitely one of the majors where both Mene and Quacknix have usually a very high impact on the game.
Another cool thing I like about that Li Ming Arthas combination is that Arthas generally gets used against heavy melee compositions. He gets used to counter Greymane and like 4 or 5 melee comps. Dignitas, of course, they're going to have a second one for sure, alongside with the Haka as the main tank. When people go for more range against Li Ming, that is what she is good against. So it's a pretty cool pairing the two of them together. Li Ming always looks for, of course, squishy targets. Now, Kharazim is a popular second support. Not as popular now for Dignitas since Arthas is there. Arthas counters Kharazim pretty well.
Now, I think I have a pretty good idea what Fnatic is currently trying to go for, and if they prove that to be correct on the 4 and 5 in their pick choice, they're going to be very happy about the Anub'arak ban that we just saw from Dignitas. It's understandable that Dignitas actually bans out Anub'arak, considering how heavily it was prioritized by Fnatic. And Fnatic has been running Bad Benny quite a bit on Arthas as well. So usually when you're thinking about, hey, what is Breeze going to be on, Anub'arak is one of the immediate go-tos here.
Yeah, Anub'arak Stukov would still be a fine 4th and 5th, or Anub'arak Malfurion. Then you have Arthas for the solo lane. You've got double support, Li Ming, and a great CC tank for that 4-man rotation. So very understandable. Fnatic will be banning away Abathur. Great pairing with Genji.
Yeah, so right now I would expect that we actually are going to see potentially Quacknix on Li Ming in this game. But I'm a bit curious to see what Dignitas is actually going to draft here as a reply. I would expect to see Muradin for JPL, just simply because he excels so much in the hero, and it would really fit with their setup too. You can lead with the Stormbolt and then enable Dehaka to get the drag in for the CC chain, and then capitalize on it with the extra damage. So that's something that I would love to see on their part.
He played Garrosh last game. Still possible to take that as well. Can also go with Tyrael. Tyrael and Greymane. Of course, Greymane not great into Arthas, but Sanctification removes all such concerns if used well.
Greymane is actually interesting to me that Fnatic didn't ban it out. They banned Abathur, and there's good reasons for it. You have Genji, you have Dehaka. Abathur would really work well with it, but you still allow Dignitas to take Greymane. And that's, of course, something that Fnatic was extremely well aware of.
Wow. They take both the heroes that are quote-unquote countered by Arthas.
Yeah.
Now, you can play around that. You know, Greymane has a ranged mode. He's got Cocktail Poke, Cursed Bullet. There's many things he can do against Arthas. Kharazim can take 7-sided. These are soft counters.
Yeah, so if you draft Arthas this early, you definitely make it a bit more of a question for your opponent if they want to go into Greymane and Kharazim. It's one of the reasons why Fnatic didn't ban out Greymane. But for Dignitas, it was still the most attractive option to use him here. And Kharazim together with Greymane, if you go into 7-sided and you want to use Cursed Bullet, for example, you can still aim to just simply blow Arthas away and go for a one-shot here. It can be extremely dangerous. So Fnatic needs to play on point, and especially Priest needs to be sure with his positioning. I'm very curious to see what's going to go on for Fnatic now, because I still expect the second healer to come into play here. And we're still looking, I feel, for a hero for Bad Benny that he can run on the solo lane.
The wait is over.
Didn't expect that.
I mean, we saw pretty heavy arguing in those final 8 seconds by Quacknix there.
I was 100% certain that I knew what the next 2 picks were, and nope, they went a completely different path here.
Garrosh, Cassia. Now, Cassia's pretty cool. She counters Greymane fairly well. Not fantastic matchup into Genji, but she's pretty good against Greymane and Kharazim for the same reasons Arthas is. What was that?
That was a Garrosh flip.
Now, Dignitas, they have a few warrior options. They can go with Tyrael to have heavy engage. They can go with Stitches, though I wouldn't recommend it against double warrior like this. And it can be the more standard Muradin.
So whenever we have hero impersonations, Breeze has the best gestures, but it's only made great by meanest sound effects. That's
Too bad we couldn't hear it this time.
That's what the Fnatic training area usually looks like, whereas Dignitas is just full-on troll house. And at this point, Tyrael being drafted for Dignitas, and I feel, considering what we're now seeing on Fnatic's side as the 4th and 5th pick, it makes a lot of sense to go into Tyrael over Muradin, which I originally thought they would take.
I think it was the only choice after the Garrosh Cassia.
Yeah.
Garrosh's Warlord's challenge, the Area of Effect taunt, Cassia's Area of Effect blind, ball lightning, fend, charge strikes. It's way too good to go into with equal rule set. You need to have a rule breaker like Tyrael, cast Sanctification, negate all that, and by doing so you remove the survivability of Cassia, where normally she would get lifesteal, now she doesn't. So Dignitas does have a really cool comp, very powerful, heavy on the damage, great warrior to lead the fray, but it is difficult to execute Dignitas' composition. I think they're up to the task, but it's definitely not one of the easier comps where you just roll around the map with 2 warriors, 2 supports.
Yeah, for me, it's the one thing that I want to see is how well Garrosh is now going to be played here in the setup that they're running here. And as you said, Sanctification on the side of Dignitas can actually ruin a lot of the ideas that we clearly see on the side of Fnatic. And it was a great choice to go into Tyrael over a potential Muradin. I feel before the last 2 picks, Muradin would have made a lot of sense, but once you see that Cassia and also, as you said, Garrosh, then you have to change your game plan. That rule breaker that you were pointing out is definitely now in the hands of Dignitas. The question is, can they use it to an extent where it makes a difference? They have the lead in the series with a 1-0 Dignitas now heading into game number 2 against Fnatic here on Dragonshire. And to the left side we see Azalea this time. On Kharazim we have Snitch. On Genji, Greymane played by Poik, Dehaka played by Wooby, and JPL on Tyrael.
And here on the right side in the red, it's Team Fnatic. Quacknix on Cassia, Breeze on Garrosh, Mene on Li Ming, Smexy on Rhaegar, and Bad Benny now on trusty warrior Arthas.
Yeah, and in this case, we are seeing Cassia already heading into the Q build, which has heavily taken over the last few weeks. Is now the preferred build for most pros. There was a time when actually only Team Liquid, when Nurok actually played Q build on two of the Spider Queen a few months back in HTC Europe. And back then, nobody was really quite sold on it just yet. But at this point, we see that very heavily preferred by most of the Cassia players here in the tournament and in the practice area.
Yeah, maybe Cannoneer will take off someday as well for Liming. Another Nurok build.
Don't tell me now.
I shared his woes at Astral Presence in the previous series.
Yeah, it's extremely fun that, especially in the European scene, whenever a team comes in with a different build, there's immediately
everyone talks about it.
On Twitter in particular, there's a huge discussion about if the build is in any way good or bad, and especially Nurok rustled a few feathers when he basically decided that Liming was not an attacker.
Can't go through life without rustling a few feathers. Snitch comes in here on Mena. Nice damage. Dodges. The follow-up Garrosh pull in.
The one thing that I really love about Dignitas and their setup here is to see Snitch on Genji once again. Like, he had such a huge impact over the tournament on the hero already. And these aggressive compositions really work well for Dignitas. The quick transitions between lane by Genji in particular allow Dignitas to be hyper-aggressive towards the top lane, for example. And we already see Genji heading that way.
Genji here to punish Arthas together with Dehaka, but it's really not that easy to take down Arthas, so he will push the lane together. Dignitas will aim to get a bit of siege damage there. Arthas comes back up again, taking the safe route.
Yeah, for Mena, level 7 is of course going to be one of the big power spikes here. Once that you have Calamity with Liming, you can really get a lot of damage done in the team fights, especially if you're able to confirm the kills, get the resets, and then just simply teleport from one target to the next to get those quick kills in. It's going to be interesting to see how Dignitas in the late game, when we're heading into 5 versus 5 battles, is going to deal with Arthas, considering that he has a very annoying impact on Kharazim's damage output and of course Greymane himself as well. So Bad Benny is going to play a crucial role once that we transition into the teamfight phase of the game.
Also the interplay between Garrosh, Rehgar, Dehaka and Tyrael. Tyrael will have to get a perfect Sanctification to win the fight, whereas Garrosh can interrupt that with Warlord's Challenge. So can Mena, of course, with Wave of Force on Liming, because Sanctification has a half-second charge up time. If the Sanct gets cancelled, Dignitas loses that fight decisively. Now, Dehaka can help with that. He can do an isolation on someone and prevent those interrupts. Bit of damage here on Bad Bunny, should be able to keep alive. Death Coil. So there's a lot of emphasis here on the front liners. Tyrael, Dehaka, Rehgar, Garrosh, in order to make the best possible fight for their team.
Yeah, and one of the interplays that we actually haven't even really talked about too much, but of course that's also an added effect to it, is the blinds on Cassia against someone like Kharazim and Greymane. That's going to be another aspect. There's so many interplays, as you said, between heroes here. It is going to come down to coordination within team fights, and both of the comps have a lot of tools that can be used in those team fights to get the upper hand and the first kill.
Map pressure will be key as well. Not every fight is a 5-on-5. Never more true than on Dragonshire. Fnatic gets the first siege camp. Dignitas gets the next one. Looks like Fnatic will be wanting to push with that a bit.
Yeah, right now we also have still at the bot lane a pretty solid setup for Fnatic here, trying to get that damage in. Snitch gets flipped for a second, but can still swift strike out, as we have Fnatic sieging up a bit at that bot lane. Tyrael is starting to make his way in. Breeze already anchoring the sides, trying to make sure that they're not getting surprised by that. But at this point, Dignitas clearing the siege giants. Fnatic takes a tiny lead in experience, hits the level 7 a bit faster, but not really a window that they can utilize.
Fnatic basically has access to do the bottom bruiser camp. Rehgar and Cassia are there, relatively free reign, but they continue to aggress into Greymane, do a bit of damage on the wall, afraid to give up lane control. It's a very precarious situation for all the teams here.
Yeah, but Benny is finally pushed back here, and Dignitas, it's a good choice to move back at this point and just top off hit points and mana, because Dignitas already realized he's getting rather low there, and the defense on the towers is not as strong anymore, so let's try and play around that. JPL gets flipped by Breeze, but of course he still can escape here. A few tower shots is all that he eats. But in the meantime, we have Fnatic all the way down at the bot lane, trying to increase the pressure against that bottom fort.
Poyok becomes aware of it, and he actually goes for Smexy. Very surprising.
Oh,
wow.
With Whoopi and Snitch there, they actually move back. Here comes the cleanse. Cassia moving out, but great move by Poik going for that. And Fnatic just saying, guys, we can't hold this. They're moving in. We're low on hit points already. There's 2 more heroes that are just moving in from the shrine itself now. That was...
That's really funny. You move in as Greymane, you see 2 people, a support and an assassin, and he's just like, yeah, I'm going. And of course he knew that the Haka was burrowing down and that help was coming.
That was great reaction.
Yeah.
Fnatic immediately blew the camp apart afterwards, but that was definitely something where Dignitas could have been in a bit of trouble if they have to deal with the camp, where it could have pushed against the fort even more. But right now, both of the teams aiming for level 10. And Grubby, that's where the real fun begins.
We're going to get some heroic abilities there. That's where Tyrael really comes online with Sanctification. Now, I love Tyrael on this map, and he's such a great choice against Garrosh. He's able to teleport out. Now they go in for Quacknix. Nice use of Blind, Ring of the Leech, and that Bursting Light. He heals himself up to full, almost to full again. Great defense by Fnatic.
Was also a great gank on the side of Dignitas.
Yeah.
You could really see them set up in all the bushes, waiting for the opportunity, and then from 3 sides jumping on Cassia. But no kill in the game yet. We still have seen 0 kills here. No Dragonite, no objective either, as we now have Fnatic and Dignitas both on level 10. Greymane currently holding back his heroic, and so does Cassia, threatening Valkyrie.
This is such an EU game. 0 deaths apiece, level 10.
Well, we could see the first one. Here comes the Sanct. JPL wants to get out. Quacknix moves in. Does he get the kills? Valkyrie! And they get the kill.
Did you see when he picked it? Did he do it just for JPL?
Yeah. Well, I would assume that they planned on picking that all like the entire time, but that was definitely a confirmation move right there. Oh, there comes the isolation, and we have Arthas trying to move out, but as mentioned before, if you can isolate him and hit that 7-sided on Kharazim, then you will blow him to pieces. So Dignitas, they lose JPL, but they respond in kind as they take Benny out, and they are also eliminating Rehgar off the map. 2 kills for Dignitas as they are once again showing their teeth.
Yeah, nice first set of kills here. Arthas, Bad Benny, made a good choice not to try and do some kind of panic, Army of the Dead. He knew he will never have enough time to consume those ghouls. He goes down. Not sure what happened to Rehgar down there, but it's actually a huge loss for Fnatic because they're losing a lot of waves of XP at the bottom lane. Even choosing not to send anyone bottom right now.
Yeah, Whoopi missing the drag here, gets flipped, but again, there's not too much pressure against him in that situation. Now, it's still a way, way closer game that we're currently observing here than what happened on Tomb of the Spider Queen, which is, of course, always that European special where you try to snowball, and it's exactly what Dignitas did. They played their cards well. In this game, on the other hand, still 2 kills against 1, very even in experience. But Dignitas is starting to put some pressure on the Fnatic as they hold now both of the shrines, now threatening the first objective of the game.
I find it so interesting, Calder, how much Fnatic is grouping. You see this big beckoning objective at the bottom lane, the laser, the minion waves, the siege camp, and they're just choosing to group up here for a team fight.
Yeah, once again, JPL getting flipped, but doing well. Fnatic tops up at the fountain, and we had in the meantime Arthas reclaiming the shrine to the top. So with the Haka present in the mid lane, we could see Bad Benny with his Arthas taking control over the top lane again. But Fnatic is definitely under pressure here, and they now start to claim the shrine, and that was too close for comfort.
That was actually crazy. I think that's 1 frame. I was sure that he was going to get it.
Yeah, that was pretty insane. I mean, that would nearly was the first Dragonite here, and if Dignitas gets a bit of momentum again in the game, Fnatic could find themselves in another losing battle as they did on Tomb of the Spider Queen, our first map here. But for now, both of the teams on level 13, and that's of course also a pretty fantastic talent here to have for, I would say, especially Fnatic at this point, with Garrosh, of course, double up, also with Rehgar getting that shield in that just might make the difference of keeping a target alive long enough to drop that ancestral healing.
Yeah, shields are so good too on warriors, with especially someone like Garrosh with that armor. You drop low in health, you get a shield. All the shield will benefit from that armor, so you have much more effective HP. Whoopi burrowing out. Interrupted by the Howling Blast. 10-second cooldown. Uses isolation.
Yeah, once again,
realizes
up at the
how
top.
futile.
Oh, and the kill. Dignitas was trying to save him for a second, but then realized, okay, this is most likely not going to happen. The interesting part for me actually is that Quacknix with his level 13 talent on Cassia went into Grounding Bolt over Thunder God's Vigor. Oftentimes, the cooldown reduction that you have with Thunder God's Vigor is insane, especially on 16. You also have Pierce, but he really tries to go for that extra slow so they can set up a few more, first of all, kills potentially by Li Ming, but just put more and more pressure onto the very mobile heroes on Dignitas' side.
Yeah, it makes me wonder what he will get at level 16. May not be that Pierce talent. I do think it works against Dignitas' comp, but he might just go for the full auto-attacking talent at 16 and 20 and said, this is the extent of my Thunder God Vigor build, the Lightning Fury, getting a bit of damage, and that's slow at 1 and 13.
I still absolutely love how close this is right now.
Yeah.
We haven't seen a Dragon Knight yet. 11 minutes in, 2 kills on both sides, and again the attempt to maybe go for Quacknix here. But guess what? It's a trap, and here comes the taunt on the side of Garrosh. Valkyrie being used, but the isolation on Quacknix, he still fires away. We have that 4 versus 5 as Arthas already moves up to the top.
I don't know how Poyok stayed alive there. Greymane, he dropped to like 10%, still got away.
And this has been the story of the game. Always explosive fights and very few kills, very few advantages. It's just like one setup after another. But look at Zelia. He's in trouble. Uses the 7-sided, but that is only going to prevent the worst. And yes, Maida moves in and confirms the kill.
Zelia goes down. Had the triple dash to try and get away. Spell shield, all of that not able to keep him alive for now. Fnatic gets another kill. And we'll be looking to try and confirm the next Dragon Knight. Now, the mid wave is very pushed. Fnatic has good vision in that middle lane. So maybe it's finally Dragon time. Nope.
JPL getting attacked, but up at the top, it's Dehaka moving in. 10 more seconds until we're seeing Karazim coming back. And Arthas is trying to fight for the top shrine, but he can't do much because once again, it's just Genji. Genji is so quick with these rotations that he can always help out Dehaka at the top against Bad Benny. So Fnatic, even though they confirmed another kill and hit the early level 16, cannot get another, or well, the first Dragon Knight of the game.
Fnatic, they had a choice to go for the Bruiser camp, 4 people bottom, but the problem is they don't know where Dignitas are hanging out.
Yeah, vision is actually something that both of the teams are playing with extremely well.
Yeah, I wish people could see it, you know, show one team's vision.
Yeah.
It really adds another dimension. This is why people aren't just going for top right Bruiser camp, middle bot Bruiser camp.
A lot of the ganks in the mid lane happened around the teams playing with vision, hiding in the bush, trying to even set up a bit of a bait with Cassia showing in the lane and 2 Fnatic players just hiding out right next to her, making sure that once she gets engaged upon, they can join the fight. So it's definitely a super cool mind game that is being played between the 2 teams.
Breeze was asking JPL to reactivate that sword. It would have been a holy ground, but Breeze would just throw him into the wall. Easy peasy. Fnatic now with their entire team here. This is the point where globals are starting to become pretty relevant in terms of where you are allowed to split off as the non-global team. Bad Bunny, if he's at the top, that's a 5v4 situation for Dignitas, so he came all the way down here.
He actually snuck around the right side, very safe, outside of the vision, and all the way through the bottom night camp. He didn't want to go for the night camp in the first place. He was trying to set up a flank, and just when he realized that Dignitas was already moving away, he decided, okay, let's get at least the night camp for now and push in with it. But the original idea was to sneak all the way across the map just to set up a flank against Dignitas without them even knowing.
To out-global Dehaka, showing up.
Well, good luck with that.
Well, you know, if Dignitas misstepped a bit, it would have worked.
Yeah, it was a good try. Good attempt here. But as you said, it also results in Dehaka now getting the top lane value. So that's additional waves for Dignitas and experience that will set them apart soon enough. For now, Fnatic still holding a slight lead in EXP, but that's not going to be the case for much longer.
This feels a lot like Fnatic's game against Roll20 to a degree yesterday, where Fnatic, once level 16 comes around, consolidates their forces, groups up, and has to let the other team out global push them. They stay together as 5, recognizing that they will lose out top soak, top push. Look, this is outside of vision, by the way. This is entirely unnoted by Dignitas.
They go for a quick invade on the camp. They actually assumed Dignitas was hiding their own hero, so they also played with vision. And Fnatic assumed that they would be at the night camp and try to invade here. So a quick move over, Howling Blast, just seeing, do we catch someone here? And if so, Cassia would have immediately jumped in. So at this point, that doesn't happen. We see again trades in the shrines, but to the right side, Smexy together with Mena capture the night camp and put additional pressure onto the top lane.
I feel like this game is so educational.
Yeah,
for
definitely.
how to move around on Dragonshire.
And especially, first of all, it's really great to see how Dignitas utilizes the power of the global that is Dehaka. Since they now overcame the experience advantage that Fnatic had for such a long time, they are the ones in the slight lead. But it also shows really how, especially as a tank, look at Bad Benny here, just simply anchoring. Quacknix is the one in the middle, so they're really saying, try it again.
Yeah.
Just try to gank Cassia, and they will be there to help them out. Smexy is just a bit to the side so that he can drop an Ancestral if it's needed.
Yeah, Quacknix is baiting so hard, isn't he?
Yeah, the entire game. And it is actually a problem. If you engage onto Cassia, she drops the blind, Ring of Leech, the entire arsenal, and then from the side you have the rest of the team moving in, Smexy helping out, Howling Blast from Bad Benny, then you are in trouble. And that's exactly what they're trying here. But by now we have Cleanse and Touch available on Kharazim as well, and that already helps them a lot in this game.
Level 20 is drawing nearer and nearer. Not a Dragon Knight to be seen yet. Massive push at the top.
Yeah, Warlord's Challenge being used, yes, 7-sided as a result. And in this case, barely an escape by Xaylia. But it forced also Arthas into the mid lane, and that was just at the time when up to the top we saw an entire wave plus the camp arrive at the fort. Dignitas is getting massive value out of this regardless. They forced Fnatic to a fight in the mid lane when they were getting value at the top, and now a structure is going to fall. Dignitas will take even more experience, and that is a bit of a blow against Fnatic. Very well played by Dignitas.
Yeah, such a clever play. Buying time for that Bruiser camp, and now getting the laser charges again to force someone to go top. They will use that to push bottom. Dignitas' macro play, 100% on point.
I like this reaction though, because basically what Fnatic does is, now they have to react to this one, but what they are trying to do is they try to not be too reactive here. They need to at least try and trade a few structures so that in the experience battle they will hit level 20 as well and will not fall too far behind. But Dignitas reacts perfectly, opens up the wall at the bottom so that they have an immediate move into the keep if they are able to grab the Dragon Knight.
It's a big loss for Fnatic, but ultimately that's what happens when you are down in these XP and talents and marketplace. Genji gets blown up!
Genji goes down, Warlord's Challenge being used here, Valkyrie as well, but that doesn't connect. But it was really well played here. The flip first, and then going for the Warlord's Challenge. Once again, the fight right down here as Bad Benny's trying to lock down Poik. He doesn't get the first Howling Blast, but he is still in there with the Frozen Tempest. They are moving in for Greymane, and he goes down the double kill. Fnatic confirming kill number 2. They hit level 20, both of them on Storm Talons, and now they have control over the map.
All right, so lasers charge for Dignitas. Siege Camp is on a naked keep, bottom right. So the question is, can Fnatic even convert this into a Dragon Knight? The answer absolutely should be yes. And then the question is, do they get a keep?
Yeah, at this point, you still have to go through the forts first of all. So we are currently 18 minutes into the game, and Fnatic hasn't taken down the fort yet. But Bad Benny at the bot lane is in trouble. Here comes Rhaegar, though. Dignitas might have gone into a really bad position here. They're trying to escape, but the slows of Quacknix on the Q are already working, and the Howling Blast is, of course, added on top of it. Even the attempt by JPL to drop the Sanctification is a bit too late, and that is Kharazim blown to pieces. And welcome to the staggered deaths.
Yeah, staggered death. I mean, this was a good move by Dignitas. They take the bottom shrine together with Dehaka and Tyrael, but I feel like there was 2 big mistakes there. One, JPL didn't fully channel the laser, and they tried to greed out, try to get a kill on Arthas in a 3 versus 1, which could be a 3v5 in a moment's notice. I feel like this was greedy, and ultimately did not achieve what Dignitas was hoping to do, which was to delay, which they did phenomenally until that point. And the second one is Kharazim had 7-sided strike available as he died. And the damage came in, it was predictable, it was a long time in the coming. All he had to do was press R. And then Sanct got burned as well.
Here comes the move against Bad Benny. The only question here that I really have is this keep or is this game? There's like 8 more seconds, and if those 8 seconds, Fnatic gets a kill, they are moving for game. They want it here. If they get a kill right now, that would be the dream. Dignitas with the defense as Kharazim comes back. He still has 7-sided. Snitch is low. He might fall, and he does. As Mena goes in for the kill and gets it. Smexy himself also blown apart, but Breeze is already on the core, and the Dragon Knight just hammers away as Team Dignitas loses the core, loses the game, and Fnatic ties the best of 2.
Damn, Fnatic does it again, just like against Roll20 yesterday. Well, not quite the same. They were further behind, but now they struggle to get a grip on the game for much of it. Doing well in early game kills, such as that there were any. But then macro play was hard, and then they just flip the switch, they get a kill, do it again, they do exactly what they need to late game, and in just the space of 1 or 2 minutes, turn the game and just go and win it. Very impressive, Fnatic.
And we still don't really know which one is a favorite. Like, the one thing that, for me personally, this all built up is to see, okay, who at this point is currently the stronger team. And you have seen a few results that you can compare. We've seen Dignitas with an impressive performance against Ballistics. Then again, Fnatic took 1 map off KSV Black. Now they go up against each other, and it's a draw. So the entire time
if you had to judge, based on this draw, who do you think showed a better performance today?
Okay, so my personal take after we had the roster swap was that if you look at raw talent, just level of skill, Dignitas walked away as the #1 team in Europe. But at the same time, I believe that when you look at work ethic and at synergy in particular synergy, when it's accomplished, Fnatic has the potential to overcome that part. But for that, in my opinion, they will need more time. So I think right now, I would not be surprised if at the end of the tournament, Dignitas has the better standing. But at the same time, I think if Fnatic doesn't panic, if things don't go their way, and just believes that they can work to achieve that synergy that I believe they can have, in the long run, they might be stronger. But I expect that for 2018, those teams will end up facing each other over and over and over again to prove exactly that. So for me, this is a result that I can very much live with because it just continues that story.
Very much so. MVP here goes to Bad Benny. Often alone and yet never in danger. Now on his trusty warrior Arthas, he held that top lane like a boss and rotated around secretly as if he is some kind of Dahaka to join his team. Played amazingly.
I'm still so sad that they couldn't force the fight when he was just like sneaking around the entire map trying to get it. That would have just been so perfect.
Yeah, but Dignitas played it very smart. Like they were very patient, just darting around the map, doing macro things. It's just when it came down to those really rapid moments where Mena moves in with that mirror ball and they blow someone up that the survivability wasn't there.
And you can immediately tell it also. Bui was like, oh, by the way, boys, I haven't seen Arthas in a while, so you might want to be careful down there.
Yeah.
But I love that the game, it wasn't maybe as flashy, the second map at least, as we would have all have hoped, but at the same time, from a strategic perspective, as we talked during the match, it was fantastic.
Both teams putting on a clinic there.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Very cool games here between Dignitas and Fnatic. We're going to have a short break, and then we'll come back to you with another really cool series, Roll20 versus KSV Black.